Yeah, I'm trying to keep it unique. I'm trying to keep the game different from other things. Yeah. I'm always trying to create different things. Like, oh wait, I can't do that. There might be an IP issue or I don't know. Definitely unique. Thank you. I'm glad that you think so. Yeah, I'm always going for unique. We I know at my work we had this is big issue with IP. My work got in trouble for IP. Not to discuss too much about it, but there was an issue with IP issues. Um, so all of a sudden they've been kind of like teaching us about IP and IP protocols. Intellectual property. For you guys that don't know, and it's a big deal, I guess. It's a big deal with Pokemon too, right? Pokemon and Power World, right? For IP. That's gonna be something that's gonna be heavy. Hopefully, Power World wins this one, because I think it would impact lots of indie game devs. Like, say anything, anybody can just put any IP in whatever they want. Hopefully, that won't be the case, though. I don't see that being an issue. You just have to be like more creative and avoid those sort of issues, right? So if you do get ideas for a game, make sure one that you don't mention it. That's like, oh, my game is like this, like Zelda, like, right? Just say, just mix things around. Play the game, of course, but mix things. Be creative. Instead of using maybe a Pokeball, use a net, or I don't know, use like a freaking bendy machine or something. I don't know, that sort of thing. Yeah, come up with creative ideas just to avoid any issues. It's dumb though. I don't know. Sometimes with IP, it can be a pain because who cares? Like, are they gonna come up with jumping in IP? I wish if they could, I'm sure they would. But gladly, jumping's not something that is IP protected. Yeah, that would be really bad if jumping was IP protected. We'd all be screwed. We would all not be making any games. Even if I was a one-to-one copy, if you use your own assets, models, and names, I feel like they couldn't do anything. Well, depends. It really depends. Um, that is a good point though that you mentioned. But what if you copy your assets to whatever they're using, right? Say, for example, not throwing, not to pick on Pal World, but your Pokemon ball or a ball in general. I'm sure they weren't trying to imitate exactly the Pokeball. They made it unique. They made their own ball asset unique. The thing that was copied was the mechanic, and I think that's probably where it could be different, because the mechanic is technically the same. The asset's different though, right? The whole asset's, you know, it's not even doesn't look like the same art style as the Pokeball. But I think when everybody saw it, everybody knew, oh, this is Pokemon with guns, right? Nobody's gonna say, oh yeah, this is, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto. No, everybody said this is Pokemon with guns. Like if I make a Pokemon but low poly, okay, I feel like as long as I didn't copy their name, they shouldn't be able to claim it as such. Throwing a ball at a bird shouldn't be copyrighted. Unfortunately, that's what they're trying to do, dude. They're trying to make it where if you throw a ball at a bird, it's copyrighted. That's the idea. That's the whole issue of the lawsuit, right? Because they have no issue with the monsters. Right? They're fine. Monsters, you can do whatever you want. Um, but I think what it is just the mechanic of the ball thrown at a monster. That's where they're trying to IP or they're trying to copyright. And it could be a problem, right? Because let's say later on maybe there's a Mario has a different unique jumping style. Say jumping's fine, but like if you do a weird jump that Mario does, kind of like a stretch out jump, let's say, for example, that could be an IP issue too. Yeah, it could be. Yeah. I don't think they could win. It seems like they could. They should be open. It should be, right? It should be open. It should not be copyrighted. Because once it starts getting into mechanics, then you might have to pay for, using certain IPs. And hopefully that doesn't happen. Because if not, a lot of solo game developers will be in a lot of trouble. Right? Yeah. I don't know what is gonna go of it, but they can't settle for sure. If they settle, then yeah, they agree they messed up. They have to go through the lawsuit. So I don't know. 3D models versus 2.5D pixel art should be seen as different genres. No, not necessarily. Because Pokemon has 2D models. They have pixel art. Their Pokeballs are 2D. They do the same process. So if, for example, if you copy Pokemon put in 2D or 2.5D, yeah, they can still claim it. Yeah. So it's either 3D or 2.5D or 2D pixel art. Whatever it is, they can claim it. Yeah, they're 2.5D pixel art versus Power, which is 3D. Yeah. Yeah, they could. I mean, technically, they can claim the whole mechanic. That's what they're going for. Not just 2D. They're going for any art style. So if it's isometric or if it's 3D, 2D, anything that resembles the ball and it has capturing, that's what they're suing. Alright, that's what they're claiming. It has nothing to do with the assets, nothing to do with the art style, nothing like that. It's all about the mechanic. Yeah. They can't claim it though. Oh well, just because you do something first, yeah, you can't claim it. They need to patent it. Well, supposedly they did patent it. That's the idea. They have a patent. Supposedly they have some sort of patent already made. I don't know how it's gonna work though. I don't know how it's gonna be with mechanics. That's gonna be interesting. Yeah, I don't know exactly how the mechanic would work in that sense. If they can claim it. I know they tried pen Mario's Jump. So that might be different in that sense. That there were other pens like that. They try to pen like any other mechanics. I think when the judge reviews it, they might say, well, this is more of a mechanic sort of structure. It's not an art style that you can use. And I think they might see it in that sense. That if it's a mechanic, then probably not. But the art style, yes. I think that's probably what they'll go for it. So it might be... It might be a win/fail, where it's like... Maybe not the mechanic of throwing a ball, but using the art style of a ball. That could be something. That could be IP. You can't patent digital assets, I guess, like websites, but it's public domains. Yeah, I guess you could. You could patent some sort of like the UI design. Not the actual digital asset, but the actual design. So say it's certain assets you can't use. Or like if you have a, like say you have a website and it does a certain thing. Say for example, you know, AT&T or something like that. And they have a specific website design. Or Samsung, for example. Right? Samsung has their own little design. And if you try to copy it, then you can get in trouble. That sort of thing. Yeah, they can do that. They can. Yeah. I can make a Call of Duty remake even though shooting zombies is trademarked by Call of Duty. Yes and no. You can't really do that. I mean, there's tons of zombie games. So you really can't in that sense. Not sure they really can trademark an idea. No, not the idea. No, they can't. Alright? If it's a zombie and you're shooting your zombie, no, they don't have a merit. However, if it's a Call of Duty and you're using the same gun, you're using the same maybe audio, or it's exactly resembled to Call of Duty, then yeah, that could be an issue. And I think it's more on, you know, on the trademark infringements of kind of like where it goes, how far it is. In general, everybody's just trying to make money somehow. I think that's where like Nintendo's going for. I'm hoping it won't pass though. Ideally, I don't think I can see it happening where Nintendo would win this one. Um, I'm sure Paul will try to follow it as a mechanic thing, and I think Nintendo might try to do more of an IP sort of art style, right? Now you could do it the way that the player throws the Pokeball. That could be something new that they can add. So maybe Ash or they throw it like this, right? But in Power World they throw it like kind of like underhand. That could be something that they could prevent it and save them. It could be something like there's different things like there could be animation styles or there could be a different look. Right? Maybe that's probably how they can pass it. I think they'll need to prove how they obtained the mechanics. Like, did they have it written down or the reference to Pokemon? Exactly. If Power Worlds mentions anything about Pokemon, right, then they're screwed. But if they say, no, no, we're just trying to capture monsters, then they're okay. But any of their documents, any of their strategies, if they mention anything about Pokemon specifically in their documents, it could be big trouble for Power World. If their reference is straight from Pokemon, they probably will lose. Yeah, that's kind of like what everybody's thinking. Like the reference might be straight from Pokemon. But if it's not, if they have documents that prove that it's not, that this was kind of like a creative idea, then maybe, yeah. Then they could. It's going to be a hard case, though. It's going to be a hard case to prove that like they didn't steal it for Pokemon, right? You can't really, say anything. You could have gone with nets, but then ball is like the only thing that's digital that you can use. So then it could go either way. It could go with, well, balls technically could be considered more of the more free form to use to capture monsters, which is what I'm hoping for. Yeah. So if I make a Pokemon game but make $0 from it, they can't sue me, right? Well, they can take you down. Yeah, there's people that made Pokemon games. There's one guy that made a Pokemon-like game. He resembled kind of like a fan art game, and Nintendo came and said, "Hey, you need to take this down," and he had to take it out. He was working like 10 years. It took him 10 years to make the game, right? And he has a few fan backings and donations, but Nintendo told him, "You need to take this down. It cannot be in the public domain." Yeah, yeah. They can't sue him. Maybe they couldn't sue him technically, but they could technically say, yeah, you can't have this. This is our IP. Yeah. Yep, they can do that. Yeah, of course. Why not? So if I claim it commercially, they can take it down. Yeah, they can't. Free or commercial. But if you keep it in beta testing as a hobby project, if you're only sharing it on your own, I think it's okay. Or like if it doesn't get like any eyes, as long as you don't tell Nintendo, like anybody from Nintendo or say Nintendo about it, you'll be fine. Just don't tell anybody else. Like I would say, oh yeah, hey, come check. I have a cool project I made for a hobby. I'm learning, right? Yeah, if we consider learning, yeah, you can do that. But I don't know if they can technically keep it in the public domain, right? You probably have to keep it somewhere outside of the domain. But either way, if you don't tell anybody in Nintendo, then everybody's just gonna pass it like, whatever, right? This is fine. Yeah, it's kind of like a sticky issue. Yeah, it's very, very sticky. It's not that gonna be that easy. I'm hoping for Power World though. Yeah, if not, we're gonna have to think twice about what kind of monsters we can capture. Right? Instead of a ball, maybe it might have to be a square or a cube. Why not a cube? Right? If Power World would have done a cube, maybe that probably would have worked. Or a hexagon. They could have gone with a hexagon and they would have gone, oh no, it's not a ball, it's a hexagon. They probably would have been up with that. I want to make a game, distribute it, but not get sued. Shoves it up a Pokemon bus. Yeah, it's hard, man. I'm telling you. You have to think a lot about what kind of games you make they're commercial. You have to be very careful. Whenever you make a game, be as creative as you can. Alright? Change things around, definitely play games. Play games that, you know, kind of like resemble what kind of games you're making, but do it way different. Right? Instead of like, say, if the game you're making has a different unique jump style, change it and do a backward somersault or something, or like do something crazy. I would say that'll be the best option for you. All right, instead of using a pokeball, use a poke cube or poke hexagon, octagon or something. All right, and then if anybody says, "Oh, wow, what are you talking about? It's a octagon," then they okay, whatever. And they might try to sue, and then they want to say, "Well, it's an octagon." Okay, fine, whatever. Yeah, it's a very sensitive situation. I am hoping Powerworld does well, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. We'll know more once the whole lawsuit goes in place. But yeah, they can't settle. If they settle, then it's game over for a lot of game devs. It definitely gives more power to Nintendo, right? And who knows, maybe they might say, well, if you jump this particular way, then you can't do that either. That could be an IP issue. Imagine? Then we would be in big trouble. If they say, yeah, this looks more like a Mario jump, you can't do that. Oh, that would be terrible. I would not want to be in that situation. It was like, ah, shit, I can't jump like this because Mario jumps this way? No, I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. But it does kind of come up with different creativity of art styles. So I guess that, in that sense, it's okay. And with that said, I think I'll call it a day. I think that's